In conversation with Donna Russo. Donna Russo is a best-selling author of historical, biographical, and women's fiction, as well as fantasy. She has made a significant impact in the literary world with her detailed writing and compelling characters. Notable works include multi-award-winning and international bestsellers Vincent Women and a Novel of Newport, Guided Age series, Guided Summers, and Guided Dreams. A historical fantasy, The King's Agent earned a star review on Publishers Weekly. An award-winning screenwriter, ghostwriter, and artist, Donna has over 30 years of experience as a certified book coach and has been a writer and instructor for Writer's Digest for over a decade. Donna has also worked as an actor and model with appearances in such notable works as Martin's The Departed and Showtimes The Brotherhood. Donna is also one of the oldest practicing yoga aerialists in the country. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy and excitement to offer the show today Donna Russo and Cindy Brett co-hosting me in the conversation. Welcome on the show, Donna. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Peter. Thank you so much for having me, and hello to everyone out there.
Hello, it's nice to meet you.
And you, Cindy. So great to be here with you.
Absolutely. It's quite exciting. I love your amazing smile in there. Quite beautiful. We are here to sit down and have a conversation around your book. Thank you, really.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. And Don, I need to first say that first of all, I'm excited we're able to do this. I'm excited we are here to sit and talk about your Vincent Women, the untold story of the loves of Vincent van Gogh, which description on Amazon seems to me to be quite amazing, quite interesting, compelling, and awesome. And I would like to ask you, what inspired you to write this book? What inspired you to write Vincent Women?
Vincent's Women is what I consider my magnum opus. It was 3 years of research, 2 years of writing. It is a very serious work. However, the inspiration for it is very personal and a little embarrassing. Like Vincent, I am very unlucky in love. And I
Hmm.
had come home from another first and last date, and I was sitting on the couch having a pity party. There was junk food and bad television involved. But at one point, I looked up and my eyes locked with Vincent's, obviously in a print of one of his self portraits.
Hmm.
And I just naturally said to him out loud, "So, Vincent, we know you had a predilection for prostitutes, but there had to be more to your love life than that." And the next day, I started digging. And the more I dug, the more revelations were revealed. And I knew that I had to write this story, the
Hmm.
true story of Vincent van Gogh.
Wow.
So, yes, so my poor love life led to a really good book.
Wow.
Okay, that's
I find
definitely
that
an
so
interesting correlation.
fun.
Oh my goodness, that's so fun.
Okay, so I take it some of the themes might be love or they're the lack of. Could you share some other themes or subject lines that, if I were to pick up this book, what might be included in it?
So, first off, my goal for this book was twofold. It was to uncover, as I did, these loves, many of whom most of us have never heard of. And
Hmm.
yet their impact on Vincent and his work was quite integral. But what I also wanted to do is, through these loves, create a biography of Vincent van Gogh from birth to death, something that no novel has ever done.
Hmm.
All works about Vincent start when he started painting, which is 27. He died
Mm.
at 37. My book covers his whole life, but never through his point of view, always through the point of view of loves. So,
Hmm.
yes, love is the main theme, but love in its many forms. As I have learned, Vincent learned that love can be beautiful or it can be ugly and nasty and toxic. Love wears many faces.
Hmm.
So that is the most important theme. Another is how rumors can ruin lives. Even small rumors can ruin lives. And what we have been fed on Vincent van Gogh has been nothing but rumor.
That's
You have to read the book.
yeah, well, right. I wouldn't want you to give a spoiler,
Absolutely.
but I mean,
Right. But I am convinced most of the people who read this work are convinced. And I know we'll be getting into a little more detail, but the themes came organically because of the goals of what I wanted to do with the book.
mhm.
And those are the best and the most powerful, I think, for
Mm.
any writer.
Rumors of Vincent van Gogh's love.
Roman can ruin lives.
Rumors can and do ruin lives. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we see it in today's world, just
Social media.
probably worse because of social media and the media.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's awful,
It's
but
horrible, really.
it really is. It really is. And if anybody reads my book, I hope they acknowledge that and accept that and perhaps change their behavior going forward.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that statement. I love that statement. Quite interesting. Now, I wanted to diversify a little bit outside your novel, but going back, based on what you've said, I want to go into the real life thing. Because we see a lot of rumor about people on social media. It could be what somebody else says about somebody else, or what somebody else message gossip you behind you for what you did not do. And
Right.
both on social media as well. And I can imagine how those rumors affect the people that they are being directed to, their mental health, their emotion. It's something
Exactly.
people will sit down behind keyboards and type horrible things to somebody else without knowing the effect it have on those people. I mean, it is so worthy. I think we need to be more careful, basically, and excel all
I
of
do.
us in that regard.
But I also feel we're living in a time where hate is almost allowed.
Mhm.
You know, hate has almost been given permission. And that's where it all starts. And that's where it's got to end. Those rumors come out of hate and frustration
Yeah.
and a myriad of other negative feelings. And so you've got to hit the source. We've got to fix the problem, and then the rumors will stop. Rumors are just, they're like an arrow. They're just a weapon to be used.
I
Those
think
who
it
use
also,
them.
you have to have the rationality to understand and dive deep to understand the source, but to seek the truth. And I don't think,
Exactly.
right, I don't think a lot of people, I mean, they see, it's like clicking through things. They see something like a title that's captivating,
Mm.
and they think that title tells the whole story,
Whole
but they
story.
don't,
Right.
right, but they don't
They don't
read.
go farther.
No,
Right. Right.
no, not at all.
And this is a problem in the book industry because Vincent's Women is 450 pages, which is considered a massive book in this publishing world.
Generation. Yeah.
But we're competing with all those little snippets and bites that are keeping everybody just enraptured because they feel they have a voice. But it's all becoming chatter. There's so much that doesn't have true substance that they're wasting their time and the airspace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking readers away from books.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you
Yeah.
mentioned all of this, really. Quite amazing and so relatable. Now, Donna, you also address several myths about Vincent's life, including the circumstances of his ear injury and his death. Now, what new insight or evidence did you uncover during your research that made you see his life quite differently? I'm just curious.
Yes, it's a good question. Unfortunately, this book is replete with spoilers. From the beginning, from his birth, there's a spoiler that nobody has ever heard of.
Wow.
And so I don't want to give them away. That's part of the fun of this. But I can tell you this, I found medical reports, I found police reports, and I found the letters. And the letters are like, have become like my Bible. Johanna van Gogh, Vincent's sister-in-law, gathered almost 1,000 letters written by Vincent, to Vincent, or about Vincent, and published them. And they are now free to the public. I read all of them. The revelations just kept hitting me and hitting me and hitting me. And I was able to use Vincent's own words from his letters as his dialogue in many places. So that was an extraordinary. In this book, you are hearing Vincent's own words. I just love that aspect. But for example, the ear incident. I was able to find the drawing made by the first attending physician when Vincent was brought into the hospital. When you look at that drawing under modern forensic eyes, it tells a very different story than what we were meant to believe. Additionally, and just like the universe was in alignment, in December of 2020, the American Journal of Pathology and Forensic Science figured the conclusion of this book. And that's about as much as I can give away without spoiling anything.
So in other words, you gave us a major teaser.
I did. That's about, and there's so many more things. It really is remarkable. When I was doing the research for this book, the question that kept coming into my mind is, what if everything we've been told about Vincent van Gogh is all lies?
That would have been another thing. That's quite a question.
It is a question.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, what other historical persons do we not have the right story on?
I've asked that many times on whether it's John F. Kennedy or
exactly. That's
Ronald
very
Reagan
good.
or whatever, you know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be somebody from like America or whatever. It's just you have those like Martin Luther King. You wonder what the
real story is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you know, before the tech age, we didn't have all these clips and everything to rely on to show the truth. You know, we only had people's words for it, and therein lies the rumor problem.
Now, I want to take a step back because I know we're talking about rumors, and I think that's all significant, but I want to take the moment to spotlight you a little bit. You've got a very diverse career. I mean, not only as an author, but a screenwriter, ghostwriter, and even an actress. How have these different creative pursuits influenced your storytelling? Could you share a little bit of light on that?
I think the more we live, the more depth and wisdom we can bring to our work. I almost think the older writers are a bit better because of the wisdom that life wisdom and experiences they bring. As a ghostwriter, I get to write in different voices than my own, different genres than my own. But I learned from that, and I know it adds a complexity to my own writing that I might not have if I didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
As an actor, you know, when you're preparing to portray a character on the screen or the stage, you really get into their skin, their tics, their habits, their way of speaking, and most of all, the motivation for why they do what they did. And so when I write a character, that's what I do. I inhabit their skin to the point where I even read the dialogue out loud to see if it sounds genuine to that character. I'm just very blessed. As I said before, you know, as far as we know, we're given this one life on this particular planet, and I want to get the most out of it that I possibly can. And I do believe that translates into greater depth and complexity in my work. and I can only
Hmm.
be grateful for it.
Boy,
Mm.
grateful is such a powerful word.
Grateful is a powerful word, one I use actually twice a day. I keep a gratitude journal, and I wake up and I write what I was grateful for, and then just before I go to bed, I write what I was grateful for that day. Gratitude is powerful, and it brings more things for you to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm with you on that one as far
Yep.
as the journal, the gratitude journal. Been there,
Yeah.
done that.
Okay.
That is such an amazing response, actually. And it got me wondering, I was like, I can imagine what it feels like creating a character as an artist, what it feels like to write down a character while you sometimes act them yourself. Because I was like, I don't think I've ever read a book written by an actor, actress. And I'm kind of thinking that I would love to pick one out because I wanted to see how their writing style differs, which I think it might be quite different from other authors because you read scripts, you art them, and when you're trying to write a
Exactly.
character, you try to put in your best how descriptive it's gonna look like, how amazing, how it's gonna leave readers, paint an image in their head as I read along. I think there's gonna be a sort of an amazing literature sort of difference to how an artist will create a character because they do act it sometimes themselves compared to how an
We do.
author who is not an artist will create a character. I'm just imagining in my head actually if that might be a difference in
Yeah,
that way, I think that might be.
I do think it allows me to create a richer character, a deeper, more complex, more multi-layered character
Yeah.
because I have that ability to portray.
Mm,
Um,
Hmm.
it's a merging of skills that I think
yeah,
is works for me.
absolutely. That's a good one. That's a good one. Now, I'd like
Thank
to
you.
hear your take because one of the things I love majorly is to sit back and listen to readers' feedback. I know you agree with me that one of the things that makes literature to be quite interesting and a little bit complex is the fact that it can be interpreted in different ways by different readers based on their opinions. And sometimes some readers might get the message the author intended. Sometimes they might be close to getting the message. Sometimes they might be far from getting the message. And most of the time, they might just hilariously misunderstand the book and interpret it upside down. As fun
Yes.
as they sound, I would like to ask you, not quite sure if you've ever experienced this though, but I'd like to ask you, how do you feel when readers interpret your work differently than you intended? How does that make you feel, first of all, as an artist, and secondly, as a storyteller?
Well, art, any form of art, whether it is literature or film or paintings or architecture,
Music.
is probably the most subjective material on the earth.
Yeah.
So authors have to be reasonable about this.
Mm,
Our job is to write so well that the reader always gets the true message, but
yeah,
we're snowflakes. People are snowflakes, and we're going to interpret it in our own way.
wait.
And so, you can just ride with it. And actually, I have a great anecdote. My second book, The Glassmaker's Daughter, is about the glassmakers of Venice, Murano, at the turn of the 15th century.
Oh, wow.
And the book opens with a scene with a young woman making the glass in a glass factory in the dead of night. She's the daughter of a glass maestro who doesn't have an elder son to pass on the secret of the glass to. So he passed it on to his daughter
Mm,
illegally. So because she can't legally make the glass, it's the middle of the night she's making the glass. So a couple of months after the book came out, I'm reading reviews. Some authors may tell you I don't read reviews and they're full of, we read them all. Um, and this one reader wrote that whole first scene was a metaphor for sex, right? And my knee-jerk reaction was, it was? Damn, I missed it. maybe I would have
What?
enjoyed it if that's what
That was a funny one.
And I just thought, if that allowed her to be more interested in the book, I mean, she gave it a 5-star rating, so obviously she enjoyed it. So, when things like that happen, we do have to be realistic and just go with the flow. The most important point is that we write with such craftsmanship that the true message does get across to the majority of our readers. That
Wow.
was a good, yeah, I shared
That's a
that
lo-
with everybody. Yeah, that
That's
was
a
so
lovely answer.
good.
Talking about the craftsmanship of
Mhm.
writing, and whether you do the ghostwriting where you're writing a novel, or like you've got this story coming out about Vincent van Gogh, there is the essence of a craft connecting those sentences together, whether they're long or they're short. There's something fantastical about them, magical. So I wanted to dive into the inspiration of what helped you put words on paper. What inspired you to write a book? And the ideas and how they percolate in your head and stuff. Could you give P English literature listeners a little bit of behind the scenes information on that?
Sure. I have to be honest and steal a line from Lady Gaga in terms of becoming a writer. Baby, I was born this way. I
Wow.
started writing in grade school. My mother still has them, though with
Wow.
my 67th birthday coming up on Saturday, they're disintegrating very quickly. I was born this way. My parents would go to teacher conferences and the teachers would say, she writes in English, she writes in science, she writes in math. She's going to
Wow.
be a writer. It's just what I've always wanted to do.
Mm.
And luckily, I'm fairly good at it. Um, it really is true that if you love what you do, it's never work. And
Mhm.
that is very true for me.
Mm.
I hope in terms of story inspiration, I hope I live long enough to write all the stories that I have in my mind. Honestly, I'm a very, very curious person.
Mm.
And
So,
I think some of the best stories come out of an author's curiosity
yeah.
Yep, I
because they're
totally agree.
passionate about the topic.
Yeah.
And so I have a folder with story ideas, and I honestly hope I get to write them all.
Mm.
In terms of getting words down on paper, writing is a creative function, first and foremost. But the construction of a novel takes a bit of organizational skills. I know there are a lot of pantsers out there who just, as it infers, writes by the seat of their pants. I think that's where you can allow writer's block to find a niche in. When
Mm.
you've got a really good outline, it is a map to your entire story. And if you get up, but your muse has decided to stay in bed that day, you have this wonderful structured outline, and it says, okay, today you're writing this scene. And so the
Mm.
muse isn't there, but you've got that structure to keep your butt in the chair, to keep your fingers on that keyboard, and to keep going. The other thing I like about it is, oh, ooh, 2 scenes from now, I get to write this really dramatic scene. So I
Mm.
want to get through those. So that keeps me going.
Yeah.
So I have this process where I outline the plot scene by scene. Then I have all the documents with my historical fiction. And then I merge the two. And before I even write, I have 100 to 150 page map to follow.
Mm.
So on those days where it's really tough, but I'm working under a deadline, I just go to that map, and that map says, get to work, and this is what you're going to do.
Mm.
So I find it very helpful. To those pantsers, I say, may the muse be always with you. I don't know how you do it.
Mm. Wow.
Did I You asked me a lot in that question. I just want to make sure I covered everything.
I think Peter thinks I asked too many questions, period. But it's
I do think you captured everything, actually.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Now, apart from the books we've mentioned so far, apart from, Vincent's Women, do you have any other works you've authored or say currently working on?
Well, I've actually have 11 books out.
Wow.
The first is The Courtier of Versailles, a story I wanted to tell since I was 16 years old. It's about a young woman who dresses as a man to fight alongside the musketeers. Um, then came The Glassmaker's Daughter, To Serve a King, about a young woman who's a spy for Henry VIII at the court of Francois I. Then came The King's Agent. This was supposed to be my fun book, a book that I was writing just for me, in which I merged the aspects of the video game The Legend of Zelda with Dante's Divine Comedy to create an Italian art quest. And it earned a starred review in Publishers Weekly.
Wow.
Which just goes to show sometimes follow your frivolity, follow your silliness. Who knows where it might take you?
Yeah.
After that was a trilogy, The Da Vinci's Disciples, which really increased my male readership. It's about a secret group of women artists mentored by Da Vinci, but it's set in the most turbulent and violent period in Florence's history. So the men really dig that. Then came my Novels of Newport, Gilded Summers, and Gilded Dreams, and they were my first international bestsellers. And then there's Vincent's Women, which is also an international bestseller. So 11 books with more to come.
Wow.
And I caught something there. Something there. As a historical fiction writer, many of your books, don't they focus on strong women in history?
They do.
Okay. Okay. So that's interesting to know. Is there anything you'd like us to know about any of those big particular women?
Well, I think it's a product of the time I grew up in, the 60s, the Vietnam War, civil rights, and especially women's rights. Add into that, I'm the granddaughter of Italian immigrants. I'm the second born. I'm a girl to an older brother. It was very hard to get my voice heard. So when I started writing, I knew I wanted to give back the voice to the women that history stole their voice. Because history was written mostly by white men, women's voices, people of color's voices have all been left out. And I have kind of taken on challenge of giving back these women's voices, giving the power the historians took away from them.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
That is such a powerful one, really. Now you can go on, Cindy. You wanted to say something.
Well, I don't know. I just like picking okay, which female character is your favorite out of all the 11 books that you've written? And I know not all of them are female protagonists, but just which one do you identify the most with that just resonates with you? And maybe the one that is most like you.
It would probably, it is Viviana from the Da Vinci's Disciples trilogy. Her marriage was the same as mine, only she got to exact a revenge that I did not. That could only take place in a fictional book, though it's based on actual history. She fought for that group of women artists. And so I wrote her to be me. I wrote her in a cathartic manner to be me. And it worked wonderfully. Wow. There was actually a point where I had to consult my two sons that they were all right with what I was doing on the page, and they were. And that just gave me even more freedom to express myself in that manner. It's really a gift that writers are given to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
It really is. We can get so much therapy out in our books. We really can in so many ways. And I've done that Viviana is the most obvious. For the people who know me, when they pick up those books, without me telling them, they knew that was me. But
Wow.
I would have to say there's a piece of me in all my work.
Do you know what's fantastic
Yeah.
about what you're doing is that there's a level of historical realism
In it.
to each of your books. And I know there's such a thing as magical realism out there, but I love historical realism. You're working with an aspect that is reality, something tangible, something that they could go to a museum and find out. But yet
Exactly.
at the other aspect of it is you add that fiction to it. So it adds that element, that richness that's so totally different. And as Peter knows, I love history. So, but anyhow, kudos to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's a challenge, you know, it's getting that merge right. You have to follow history as much as you can while getting your characters to follow your plot, but they can't step so far out of history that the readers go, oh, that would never happen.
Exactly. There's a balance.
It's a balance. It's a balance.
Right. And it comes to that level of the craftsman, the craftsmanship of the storytelling, but keeping historical accuracy and all that kind of stuff. I like to dabble in that. So that's the only reason why I know that. But anyhow.
No, exactly. It's quite the challenge, but I love it.
That's a powerful one, really. I love your answer to that question as well. And I'd like you to raise the book to the camera, Vincent Women, just so we can see what it looks like. And
I'm so proud of it.
oh,
it's actually
that's
my
a beautiful
favorite of all
cover.
my 11 books. It's my favorite cover.
Oh.
I just like the way they split him, because that really resonates, because through all of these different loves, you see a different Vincent every time. And I thought they captured that really well with that image.
Nice cover, seriously.
Wow,
nice.
that's a beautiful one, really.
With your journey as a published author and stuff like that, could you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you've encountered in the process of writing your book?
Well, with Vincent's Women, when anyone sets out to write an iconic character and to write against everything we've been told, it's a very slippery slope.
Yeah.
And so the challenge for me was, yes, I'm going to write against all the myths, but I've got to do so, excuse me, in such a way it's believable, and I've got to cite my sources. Something I do that not all historical fiction authors do, but I always include a bibliography at the back of my book for two reasons. One, novelists stand on the shoulders of the nonfiction writers. Without their research, we'd have nothing to go by.
Right.
We'd have to start way, way from scratch.
Yeah.
And secondly, if a reader wants to check anything I've said, I want them to have access to exactly where I got that, to show what is true and what is not. So there's that aspect just for that book. In terms of the challenges as a writer overall, for me, my first book came out in 2009, which is the same year that my marriage ended, and he deserted us financially. I found myself a single mother of two adolescent boys with great aspirations. Aspirations that they have met, by the way. My eldest is an opera singer with a PhD, and my youngest is a chef with multiple degrees. So I didn't have a penny for promotion. And it was right at the time when publishers started spending less of their own money on marketing and started expecting authors to fill in that gap. In fact, nowadays, there are some publishers that expect authors to submit their own marketing plans when they submit their manuscripts.
Yeah.
That's how much marketing promotion we're expected to do. Well, if you're a single mom raising two sons who want to go to college, you don't have that money. I did not have that money. I've not made the New York Times bestsellers list yet. And I think in large part, it is because I have not had the money to truly promote my work. I have many friends that have made the New York Times bestsellers who will tell you that my craftsmanship is equal to theirs. The only difference is they've had the money and I haven't. And that's what it comes down to. No matter what route you take, from self-publishing to hybrid to traditional, you need to be expected to spend some cash on promoting your work. And that's a great challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's almost becoming like college used to be, only for the rich. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at and changed in our industry. Kind of hit a sore spot there in case you didn't notice.
That's an impressive one. I love your answer to those questions, really. It's so educative and there's a lot you've shared in there.
Yeah, some that the industry may not like, but I've never been one to hold back.
But you
Yeah.
said it with respect, so, and that's what matters.
I do, but then again, whenever I actually have gotten emails from agents or editors saying, "Is everything all right? We haven't seen you active on social media." They expect so much. And I just think Hemingway never had to deal with any of this stupidness. All he had to do was write. That's all I want to do. And unfortunately,
Right.
that's not what the industry is allowing right now.
Absolutely. Just wanted to write and focus on the writing without having to think about I want to do any promotion or whatsoever. Interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Beautiful.
Isn't that what you're taking a big chunk for?
Yeah.
Saying.
Lovely answer to that. And just in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview, I would love to get a copy of Vincent Women and your other books. On what platform are they available on for purchase?
So my books are available worldwide on so many online bookstores, some of which I have never heard of myself.
Wow.
Some have been I think I've been translated into 8 different languages. So some of them can be found in some people's native language. In the UK and Europe, you can find me in brick and mortar because my publisher is a UK-based publisher. So in the US, brick and mortar is a little iffy. You can find them in indie stores, but again, on those gazillion online bookstores, I had no idea so many existed. I think it's great. The more, the better. But yes, you can find me worldwide. And of course, you can read snippets of my work at my website, authordonnarusso.com.
Fantastic. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Donna Russo's books directly on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, on our website, and also on other platforms. I also left a link to our social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Donna, for coming up to talk about your impressively written novel. I must say this is so impressive, so lovely, fantastic, and amazing that we can sit down and have a conversation around it. So thank you very much for coming on.
I agree. And I applaud both of you for your wonderful, insightful questions. I love the topics that we veered into.
Yeah.
That's what a literature discussion should be like. Wonderful job. Thank you so much for this great opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Yeah.